Hello, my name is Jake Ray. I'm a certified hypnotist. I practice regression and progression hypnosis, as well as quantum healing hypnosis technique. If you want to know more about my practice, if you would like to reach out to me, get in touch. My website is linked in the description box down below, and I do offer remote sessions, so if you're interested, please don't hesitate. So today I wanted to share some fascinating information that I have had come through sessions over the past while, and this topic and this idea has really been coming forward strongly from the end of last year into the beginning of this, and I just feel like it's an important one to share. So I wanted to talk a little bit about where I see humanity's future, and I don't mean future in a I guess immediate sense. I'm talking more the future of our incarnational patterns. What is happening after we die, after kind of this generation, this era of humanity is closed, and where could we be going next? Where could we be going after that? So I have a couple different session stories that I want to draw from, and yeah, I think it'll be fascinating for y'all. So don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more. And I'm definitely cooking up some new ideas and some new concepts for the channel, so you don't want to miss it. All right, so for those of you who don't know, I got my start in quantum healing hypnosis technique. This is QHHT, developed by Dolores Cannon, pretty big name in the metaphysical community as well as the hypnosis community. And she really pioneered past life regression and her own technique of past life regression, which really emphasized this deep connection to our higher selves, who she called the subconscious, and tapping into them as well as our past lives and other incarnational possibilities out there through the quantum. So the quantum is really a piece of this that caught my attention, that really intrigued me, and I didn't know a lot about quantum physics or the quantum realm prior to my deep dive into hypnosis. And I think that the ways that it allows us, tapping into the quantum allows us to travel through time, find hidden information, find knowledge that has been lost to our conscious memory, our conscious records, and I just think it's so cool. Through my journey with QHHT and early on in practicing this technique and getting into the realm of hypnosis, I had a pretty formative experience with a client who essentially had a ET incarnation come through, ET, extraterrestrial alien. So in this session, my client was shown a lifetime where they were this red-skinned, very warlike being, and it was very much not a human body. Described it being virtually hairless, very like round. She described it as round and had like kind of long spindly legs. Very odd looking being, at least according to our standards. And this lifetime came through and was a surprise to me because up until this point I had read about these types of lifetimes, but I had never experienced one within a session, and so it was fascinating to be able to explore a incarnation that's so different from ours. But what was so cool about this lifetime was, as different as this being was from us humans, there were still ties and parallel lessons that my client was learning, and connections from that lifetime to their current one. And this included standing up for her beliefs, kind of going her own path, and not going with the mainstream or what society told her that she needed to be or do or express. And this is a theme that comes up in past life regression and in hypnosis. The way that I work, we focus on bringing forth the lifetime that is most important and most relevant for that moment, and that is going to bring you the most relevant information. And sometimes that can be more of a galactic life, or a lifetime that is beyond our comprehension, or what we're used to here in the earthly realm. So this session really opened my eyes to a new perspective, and this was on the cosmos, but also in regards to incarnations and the ways that life can exist in the cosmos. And really, I think helped to show me that there is so much more to be discovered when we open our eyes to the multiverse and to the possibilities for incarnation out there, in space. So and space and time, because of course it's so much more complex and nuanced than we can even understand in our moment here, in our moment now. All right, so I've since had many other session experiences, and I've had other clients experience lifetimes as aliens, as humanoid beings on other planets, as even collective beings, those that are still connected beyond to the other souls that are a part of their community, their culture, their collective. They don't have the same blinders on that we do on this planet. I've explored lifetimes of light beings, of angels, even. Fairies have also come through, which is always fascinating. So lots of different lifetimes and lots of different beings and energies that are not human. And I think that this can be a topic that can be a little uncomfortable, especially the ET sides of things. I think can cause some fear response in some individuals, depending on their own experiences, whether that be more of those abduction type or scientific experiment focused experiences with ETs. And so there's a lot of nuance out there, and I think a lot of folks don't fully understand, and I'm not claiming to fully understand either, but the scope of the cosmos and the beings that can reside within, and the ways that life and soul consciousness can express itself within the cosmos. So I'm going to share a few more examples today from different sessions that I've had, helping to, again, illustrate this idea of what possibilities are out there and where could we be going afterwards. And that includes some of my trips into the future to discover what are some possible timelines out there, what are some possible incarnational futures for us, as well as drawing on some of the past experiences or the past lives, because of course, if you are familiar with the quantum, if you're familiar with the way that time is on a certain level, all existing at once, and so even when we look at past lives, the linear layout helps us to understand and think about things in a way that works for us humans and our human brains, and integrating kind of this knowledge that's beyond into a way that we can understand and work with. So all in all, I hope you find this interesting and fascinating, because it really is one of my favorite topics, and I think has so much value for us as we move into a more galactic world, as we move into a more expansive understanding of our neighbors beyond this planetary boundaries, you know? So, of course, curiosity is a piece of this, and I think that many of us are curious about these other lifetimes or these other existences that are out there. But there is always deeper reasons and deeper meaning to be found within our lives, our past lives, our future lives, our parallel lives that come forward within a hypnosis session. And that's part of what I want to illustrate today. So let's see. Beyond that, I also will be recapping some of what came through a session last year regarding 2025 and some of the changes and developments that we may see within this year. regarding ETs and the planet Earth. And if you've seen that video, this won't be new news to you. I'll be sharing that at the end, and I'll make sure to link the full video as well so that y'all can go and dig into that as well and get the full message. All right. Lastly, I did also make a meditation that kind of goes hand in hand with this topic and with the information that I'm sharing today, and that I posted a few weeks ago on my channel, and I will make sure to link that as well so that y'all can go and explore your own future lifetimes through this meditation progression that I've created, because I think that there's so much variety and possibilities out there. And I think the most effective way to get a glimpse as to your own trajectory and the possible future incarnations for you is to go and look yourself. And so I thought that doing a meditation was a really great way to do that and to help the most amount of people be able to access that information and to start to open their eyes to the possibilities that are out there. All right, so first session that I wanted to talk about was a client of mine, and they were shown their current lifetime when I regressed them, and this was not necessarily a surprise. I often have clients shown their current lifetime, whether that be childhood or moments earlier in their incarnation this time around, and there's always a reason for that. And the reason for this client, for Tony, was their higher self revealed to us that this was their first incarnation on Earth. This was the first time they'd ever been to Earth. They've never been here before. And beyond that, they came directly from Source, from the light, as their higher self put it. And they incarnated directly from that light here into the human incarnation that they chose. And their higher self told us that they would be returning back to Source, back to the light after this incarnation is done. They use the term field trip to describe this, and I just thought that was really funny, and I made some comment about an action-packed field trip for sure, and they agreed. I think that this idea of a field trip is it puts it into perspective, both with the duration of a human lifetime in the vastness of the cosmos. It is a short amount of time in that sense, but also a trip to a unfamiliar new place. I think about kindergartners, hopping on the bus and going to the zoo. It's like a wild new experience. They've never been there before, and they didn't come alone, right? There's always their class that comes with them, and more on that in a moment. But this information that came through was beautiful confirmation for my client, and they were actually really relieved to know that they were returning back to the light after this incarnation, that they would be able to return to that feeling of connection and love, and that oneness of Source, that oneness of light that they clearly were really, really missing in this lifetime. And through the other experiences they were shown during their regression, they were really given kind of an overview of the challenges of this lifetime, especially those when they were younger, and how those experiences were all building on each other and helping them to learn the lessons and understand the important information that they were gathering from this lifetime, and that they would be bringing back that information to Source when they returned. And I think that this hope of what lies beyond the current lifetime was something that Tony found during the session experience, during the information that came through their higher self, and was really a beautiful moment for this client. So I've had other clients shown similar experiences. Sometimes it's hard to determine exactly where they are or exactly what an experience is, because sometimes it's not source, sometimes it's not that OG light. Sometimes it is a different type of home or a different type of non-physical reality or non-physical space, multi-dimensional space. And it's fascinating the commonalities in these types of experiences. Oftentimes there are colors that come through. There's lights and flashes, and I had one client describe it as fireworks, kind of going in slow motion fireworks, these kind of blooms of color and light. And beyond kind of the visuals that can come through in this type of a place, there's often these feelings of love and harmony, feelings of peace and oneness. And most often in these places, I find that clients don't have a physical body. Sometimes they have a form of some type, or they describe themselves as like an orb of light or an orb of energy. Sometimes they don't describe themselves having any like form of any type. And these sorts of places, whether it be source or one of these other home locations, are oftentimes a collective experience. There's not the same separation that we experience here on the earth plane. If you're familiar with this concept, you'll know that we have blinders on. We have these constructs of our reality here that are so important for learning the lessons that we're learning and having the human experience that we're having. But once we step beyond these incarnations, beyond the human experience, the earthbound experience, there is not that same separation. So all in all, it is just fascinating, these other realms, these other places that clients have gone to, and I think is a very real possibility for many souls on the planet to return to after they're done here in the human experience and their human incarnations. You know, this client, Tony, was not alone in coming here to Source. You know, within their immediate family, their father was also from Source, and their cat was also from Source, from the light. And so, beyond their family boundaries, there are many other souls who have chosen a similar mission. They have answered the call. If you've heard of the waves of volunteers that Dolores Cannon, amongst others, talk about, it's this concept of beings coming from source or from other starseed origins, coming to the Earth. And their specific mission is to help raise the frequency. They're here to volunteer their energy, their time, their love, and to bring the light into this realm to help us in our transition, to help us as we move into this new era, this new age. And so, all in all, one possible path or one possible future for souls, especially those who are spiritual, especially those who are awakened and focused on their spiritual journey in this lifetime. There's a very real possibility that you are one of those souls who either came from Source or you came from one of these other realms, either these other home bases, if you will, these home realms. And you could be returning to that after you're done here, whether that be after this incarnation or maybe after a few more. It depends on your mission. It depends on what you're learning and how you're learning it. And ultimately what your soul has chosen, what you've chosen for your incarnational patterns. Of course, if you want more insight into that, a session with me is a wonderful way to get that insight. We tap into your higher self. We can tap into those timelines, whether you're looking to look into the past or the future, and we can gain that insight from your higher self to help you understand where you could be going, and as well as where you've come from. Really looking at the context of this incarnation. So, all in all, really fascinating stuff, and I think is really fascinating to mention. One more thing that I didn't mention is this idea of karma, and I'm sure there are some of you watching this who are saying, wait, but they're incarnated and they're going to go directly back to source. How does that work? How does, aren't they accruing karma? Don't they have karma? And this was a question that I had as well. And so I asked their higher self, well, how does that work? If are they accruing karma? Have they accrued karma in their lifetime? And their higher self said no, that they are not a part of the karmic wheel or the karmic cycle. And I don't fully understand how that works, or how one is sort of shielded, if you will, from karma. There are definitely some other examples of this, both in Dolores Cannon's work as well as others. And there are certainly ideas out there about how this works. I'm not fully understanding it, but I think that there's nuance to anything, and so I thought that bared mentioning, and was a fascinating bit. Okay, so the second lifetime, or the second client that I wanted to talk about with y'all, in regards to this, is a client that I had who was shown a future lifetime as an angel. And this was such a wild session, a wild experience. Really caught both of us off guard, because I fully expected that we would have more of a human lifetime, that we'd be going into the future to see, their life in 100 years on Earth or something like that. You never know exactly what's going to come through, but most of the time, I'm not banking on more of these interdimensional existences. But again, there's always a reason that something comes through, and there was definitely a reason that this lifetime was shown to my client. So in this lifetime, the angel being was, he described it as having wings, and I believe they were purple, but they were not your standard angel colored wings, and there was some information coming through around kind of rank and the ways that colors tie into rank. And I'd imagine that aligns with somewhat with frequency, with dimensionality. But the setting that this lifetime took place in, he described as a city formed out of the clouds, and it was above Earth. And he described the buildings, the bridges, the all of these different components of this city kind of forming from thought out of the clouds, and that simply thinking something could then manifest it into reality in this dimensional space. He described the Earth, that was below this cloud city, as very dark, very volcanic, cracked Earth, ash everywhere. Like, it was a very, very dark place, and you could see it in his expression as he was talking about the Earth versus this other realm that was above it. And described the beings that were left on Earth, as hybrid beings, and they were not human fully, and they were the only beings left. Most beings had left the planet. That included humans. That included beings beyond. Most of the ET races and the ET beings that had been supporting Earth had left. For a little context, this future, my client felt that it was very far in the future. They were thinking it was somewhere around like 3,000. Sometimes it can be hard in this space to really dial in on time and like a number, because again, time is not necessarily as linear as we think it is, and so it can be hard sometimes to really pin down that sort of a fact or a factoid. But that was the general sense, was like 3,000 or so. Anyway, this angelic being, along with the other angelic beings that he was in community with, they had a really important job to do in regards to Earth. They were taking these higher dimensional energies, these very, very high dimensional light codes and light energies, and transmuting it down through the dimensions into a way or into a form that the earth could then use. And so they were assisting this transmutation of energy, of light, down into the planet to help her heal, to help her rebalance. They were really focused on the earth and on these hybrid beings that were left, and doing what they could to rebalance this place. And like I said, there was such a juxtaposition between the joy and the happiness that he expressed in that cloud city, and doing the work of transmutation, playing with his companion Pegasus, and it was really a beautiful, joy filled, laughter filled existence that was really juxtaposed to the earth down below. But I think that had to do with the higher dimensional existence. It had to do with the job that they had to do, and tapping into that light energy. And there was really this theme of hope in this lifetime. And I spoke about my client Tony, who really found hope and really found peace in knowing what was next for their soul, knowing that they were going to be returning. And again, we had in this lifetime Connor, my client, finding hope in the joy and in the job that he had, in his connection with his companion, and generally. It was fascinating too, because it really tied in with his current lifetime and some of the pressures that he had been putting on himself in this lifetime. When we tapped into this future lifetime, one of the techniques that I use is, we speak with your future self, we speak with this future incarnation of you, and we ask for insight into your current lifetime, or we ask for wisdom, or a message, whatever wants to come through this being that has shown themselves, this future incarnation that has shown themselves, similar to the way that I work with the higher self, within higher guidance hypnosis as well as QHHT. But tapping into that future version of themselves. And they were sharing with Connor that his purpose in that lifetime was very much saving the world. You think about transmuting those energies, really working on this higher dimensional scale, working with the planet as a whole, like important big work. And they reminded him that in this lifetime, the current lifetime, there is not that same scale to the work that he's doing. Not that it's not important, not that it's not helping the world and helping build the future that we're all yearning for, but that there isn't necessarily the need for the pressure that he's putting on himself, and that it's really important to enjoy life on Earth and enjoy the beauty and the paradise that Earth is at this current time. So it was a very fascinating lifetime, and again, there was this message of hope that was coming through, and I find that especially when we're tapping into the future and tapping into that knowledge and that information from the future, it really helps to bring hope to the soul, hope to the client in this lifetime and in this moment. All right, so the third example that I wanted to draw in today, so I guess to wrap up the angel lifetime, don't think that, and I guess it bears mentioning, this client was really surprised to find themselves as an angelic being. They had a moment of almost like, why me? I can't be an angel next time. Like, what? But it's fascinating because there was another, I remember message coming through, tarot reader. I can't remember exactly when or where, but this idea that even the angelic beings, even many angels that, as we would call them, have chosen to incarnate here on Earth as a sort of both helping to raise the frequency, but then also as almost like a test, or almost like a they're going through this transitionary period themselves, and kind of choosing their own path and choosing where they're going to go, and whether they're going to return to the angelic realms or whether maybe they'll go on to other experiences or other places. And so I thought that that was interesting, tying in with what my client was shown and the experience that they had. And so I think it's just another example of the possibilities that are out there and the ways that, we can sometimes limit ourselves from a conscious perspective, from our personality perspective, our ego, whatever you want to call it. It can be a limitation to us in understanding our true potential and our full potential. And so, yeah, don't limit yourself. Don't put these limitations on yourself, because who knows what the future might hold, or where your soul may choose to learn lessons next. All right, so I know this has been a little bit of a longer video, but I think it's really worth it, and I hope that you gain some value out of it. So the third client that I wanted to talk about, the third example, was a lifetime where my client was shown a future where they were a scientist not on Earth. When we first dropped into this lifetime, when we settled into the experience, they found themselves on one of the moons of Saturn, and they described seeing the rings of Saturn up in the sky. It was pretty cool to hear their description of that. And they were doing some scientific work with taking photos of like deep space. They were doing something that tied into like ecology, or the ecosystem or environmental structures of different planets. They didn't have all of the information in regards to those finer details, but that was kind of the sense that they were getting. They were in this observatory type building with a big dome and like a big telescope sticking out the top. And they were really honored to be there, because I guess they applied for the opportunity to do this research, and they got the grant, or they got the permission, and they were really excited about doing this work. And what was fascinating was that this was just kind of a shorter research trip. Their main existence, or their main life, took place on a interplanetary ship. They described it as being this huge ship that ferried people in between planets, back and forth from Earth, and their job on this ship was managing the ecosystems, managing the environmentals of this ship, because it was so large that they had whole forests and I guess I shouldn't say forest. They had a forest. They had a lake. They had these sort of environmental bubbles. These kind of terrariums within the ship. It really reminded me of Star Trek in the ways that they have that like courtyard with grass and a stream, and or even like the holodeck where they can create these natural settings. But these ecosystems were actually there. They were physical. But it was such a fascinating existence, and fascinating too, because this future version of my client, didn't have a whole lot of information around Earth at that time. Got the sense that it was either very, very, very far in the future, like 10,000 years. They also got the sense that it was a multi-dimensional space, or that it was in a different dimension than we are currently. They had described the travel to this place as feeling like that, feeling like they went through almost a portal to a different dimension. So who knows? Those sorts of minor details aren't always the main focus of a hypnosis session, because there's so much information that we can find through this technique and through these explorations. But what she did describe the Earth as was that it had this sort of, they described it as almost like a fog, or like a mist, or like a layer over the planet, that was composed of like tiny little nano nano machines that helped to both harness energy from the sun and transmute that, as well as providing climate control and sort of an artificial atmosphere to help keep weather controlled in some way, shape, or form. And it was really fascinating too, because one of the details that came up was that lifespans were definitely different at this point. And I think a lot of us feel that we're moving towards that we're moving towards a return to longer lifespans in a human year sense. And I don't think it's happening necessarily immediately for everyone. There are certainly those who have started that transition and who are experiencing that now. But I think that this is something that will unfold as our DNA unfolds. But again, with this client, with this experience that they were shown, it was off world, it was not on planet Earth. And yet it had ties to her current life and her current experiences here in this lifetime. They were shown this future lifetime as a scientist, and they are in science education in this lifetime. And it was sort of showing the context again, the context of this lifetime and what is in store for them in their next lifetime or one of their future lifetimes. And I think both gave her insight into this lifetime and realizing the possibilities and the ways that this future lifetime is impacting the current through the quantum and can provide that inspiration or that energy for her current life path. And again, that message of hope and that message of inspiration from the future was really, really strong in this session, and helped this client to really see that larger arc that her soul is on and get a glimpse past the challenges of her current lifetime, past the insecurities of her current lifetime, and really helped her to see the possibilities for her soul. And I think that that's one of the key pieces, that tapping into the future and understanding what is possible in future timelines can bring that hope into the present. So, all in all, like I've said a few times now, curiosity is one reason that you might seek information on the future. I think that there is a lot of misconceptions around the future, and a lot of opinions around determinism and around tapping into future timelines and what that means for the present. I've seen with my work in the future that when we're tapping into those future timelines and really anchoring that energy in, it allows us to draw that timeline to us and to sort of stay on course as we move towards that. And this, of course, doesn't mean that we don't have free will within this lifetime, and there are certainly choices for us. Whether or not that's at the conscious level or at the soul level, I think that there's nuance there, and there's times where our higher self or our oversoul will sort of step in to redirect us towards what we chose, what we decided we were going to work on, and kind of hold us accountable in that way. But all in all, like, free will is not lost even in those situations, because again, it's from the soul perspective. But I really think that this topic and this idea of the future of humanity, the future possibilities for us, can really help in a variety of ways. But I think the biggest thing and the biggest message that I got in regards to this topic was this message of hope, and that it's so important for us to hold on to hope and to not be delusional about the world or what's going on, but it's about stepping out of the emotional entanglement, stepping out of the ego and the ways that our ego tries to limit us, and stepping more into the observer position, and doing our best to stay in that higher self vantage point, to stay in that oversoul context. Of course, we are here living a physical existence. We're here living in an incarnation, and uh, the life that you're living now is the most important life of all because it's the one that you're focused on at the present time. But I think that the more that we can begin to integrate our lifetimes from all directions through the quantum, whether that be past or future, parallel lifetimes, and especially the more that we can step outside of the bounds of human incarnations, I think that we can start to really tap into that cosmic knowledge, that cosmic wisdom, begin to open ourselves up to more of a galactic existence, more of, if we're talking about Star Trek references here, the Galactic Federation of Planets. Like, if we want to join the Galactic Federation of Planets, like, we have to start stepping beyond the boundaries and the pettiness of our human existences, and begin to step into more of that galactic cosmic perspective, because yeah, we're not going to have the false fake boundaries that we have now. We're not going to have these separations between groups of humans, and this othering of everyone who is moderately different than us. These are parts of duality that, yes, are a part of reality now, but we are being called to move past that and to open ourselves up to the oneness of the universe in a more concrete sense. And I think, again, the more that we can step beyond and tap into the quantum aspects of our soul, the more that we can really start to embody that and embrace that. Because simply put, these ET lives, these off-world lifetimes, they're a part of your soul journey, and are just as important as your incarnations here on Earth. And I think that the more that we can tap into these and understand that there is more beyond the here and now, beyond this lifetime, it can bring hope back, and help us to fight the hopelessness that is being really pushed by the narrative right now and by so many on this planet, and allows us to hold that light and hold on to the higher octave expressions of our beings. Beyond that, I think that there's just so many experiences and so much variety to the cosmos and the ways that life can, and soul consciousness, source consciousness can express itself. And when we get beyond these human incarnations, I think that the growth becomes exponential. So, like I said at the beginning of this, well, first, I guess, thank you so much for making it this far. If you did, I hope that you found this talk enjoyable and this topic enjoyable, because I really love speaking about it. Make sure that you don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you check out my meditation as well that I'll link below, so you can explore your own future lifetimes off planet, off world, and get a glimpse, get some insight into your own incarnations beyond. And of course, if you want to know more, if you want to deep dive, try out that meditation, and feel free to book a consultation with me. Come have a session with me so that you can deep dive into that, or any other experiences or insights, lifetimes that you would like to dive into. Oh, quickly inserting this in, I realized that I forgot to talk about the upcoming changes or possibilities for ET disclosure in this upcoming year. So I'll link that video down below so you can check it out. But just briefly, I think that this information coming up really encouraged me to share this topic with everyone and to start to talk more about about our incarnations beyond. And that is because in a session that I had last year, the higher self came through and shared with us that there would be, oh my gosh, excuse me, there would be aliens, ETs that were living among us, that were here on this planet among us, who would be revealed in 2025. And they clarified that these are beings in their form. So these are not ET souls or ET beings that have incarnated into human existences. These are beings who are here in their own form. Whether or not that's physical, I think there's some nuance there. When I tried to get some more information on motives and on kind of what these beings might look like, it was kind of like, yeah, some of them are in disguise, some of them look like you, some of them don't, some of them interact with you, some of them don't. So there is a lot of there's a spectrum as to why ETs are here on this planet at the moment. And I think if you're familiar with this topic, no surprise to you. But I think the biggest message that they had to share around this was that even though there is a small section of these ETs who are, let's say, nefarious, or they might not have humanity's best and highest good at heart or in their intentions, the higher self really emphasized the need to not fear, and that we needed to stay out of that fear frequency, that there was no need to fear, because not only will these beings be leaving in this year, but the support and the benevolent ETs, if you will, outnumber those who are of a lower frequency or who have more of those nefarious intentions. But they did say that these beings would be revealed, that there would be an unveiling or a big reveal of this. Whether or not that comes through a public avenue, who knows? I have hope that there will be more disclosure in a public sense, but I think personal disclosure is more than likely how this will play out. But that these beings would be leaving, and that was because they've completed what they came here for. Their mission is complete, their tasks aren't complete, and they want to go home. The higher self said that this planet Earth is not the most comfortable of places for most beings in the galaxy or in the cosmos, and I thought that was funny. I think a lot of us starseeds can agree that it's maybe not all that comfortable for those of us who came from elsewhere, even though we are incarnated in a human body. So all in all, I think that this topic of disclosure, of a reveal, also prompted me to start having more of these conversations, to bring this topic to y'all, because I think that we're moving very quickly and rapidly towards a dramatically different paradigm and a dramatically different world. And the more that we begin to be open to that, the more that we open ourselves up to the reality of the cosmos, the quantum aspects of our being, as well as of the earth and of these dimensions, the more that we begin to acclimate to the reality that there is more beyond what we can physically see, I think the easier these transitions will be. And again, the more exponential our soul growth can be within this lifetime, because we are being called to integrate a lot. All right. Thank you so much. All the love and light to you, and bye for now.